this is a reminder that we need to be stockpiling more than just a little bit. You know, we need to be, with everything happening, the economy collapsing, crime is up, stores are closing, banks are closing, everything's happening all at the same time. We need to be mindful when we are prepping that we need to have extra water available, water that we can consume and water that we can use around the home. Because even if you're using water around your home and you're not consuming it, if it's contaminated, you don't want to use it. So you want to have some water set aside for that as well. Just something to put in the back of your mind. What's up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. I know by now you have heard about this Yellowstone River derailment, train derailment. But if you have not, a train derailed on Saturday in Yellowstone. It's a lot with this. I did some digging and I found out some interesting things that have happened in the past in that Yellowstone River as well. So let's get into the video. Give the video a thumbs up, share it out, and here we go. So a train carrying hazardous materials derailed and a bridge collapsed into a southern Montana river Saturday, sending rail cars into the water and prompting concerns about contamination. So in looking at the pictures from this train car and the bridge itself, it's not really clear whether or not there was damage to the bridge before the train got on that bridge or while it was on there. So a train carrying potentially hazardous materials derailed into the Yellowstone River in Montana early Saturday. The incident left multiple tankers in the Yellowstone River and decimated the railroad portion of the Yellowstone Twin River Bridge in Stillwater County, Montana. This bridge that collapsed with the train on it, they had just did work to that bridge to remove, because it had a section in there where actual cars could also drive on those, like a little road area. So they had removed that section because they found that it was not stable enough. But my thing is, if that wasn't stable enough for cars, why would you think it would be stable enough for a heavier vehicle to travel across it? I'm just asking. So it says that 3 of the rail cars that derailed were carrying hot asphalt and 4 were carrying molten sulfur. Casey Williams, the director of emergency management for Yellowstone, said 2 impacted rail cars were also carrying sodium hydrosulfate, a corrosive substance, but those substances did not enter the river. Now, those substances, it causes shortness of breath. They are saying that the drinking water in Yellowstone County is not currently affected, but they're still running tests. And considering what happened many years ago there, they need to run those tests. Are committed to addressing any potential impact to the area as a result of this incident and working to understand the reasons behind the incident. In my opinion, the reason is when you took out access for public vehicles to travel along the road that crosses that bridge, you should have just shut that bridge down altogether. And this is so reminiscent of what happened in Ohio and them initially saying nothing is going on with the water, but yet down the road, days later, they were saying there were issues with the animals, there were issues with dead fish, chickens dying, and people not being able to drink their water. And I really feel like this continues to happen over and over again. It's like, why are they not inspecting these bridges? And when they do inspect them, why don't they shut them down, detour it a different way or something like that? This is just going to continue to happen if they don't have any kind of regulation on it. So the Montana Rail Link, which is the MRL, they said that this happened at 6:45 a.m. local time while the train was traveling westbound near the town of Reed Point. Several cars remain in the river, including several hazmat cars. The railroad operator said no crew members were injured in the incident. The cause of the derailment is under investigation, and first responders are on site. They're saying that the area is completely muddy. I meant to say muddy, not snow. Completely muddy, and it's making the material go down with it. counter added that the bridge included a portion of car traffic. So this is what I was talking about, which was removed recently. Yellowstone Public Radio reported in 2021 that the section of the bridge was removed after erosion made it a risk to public. So that bridge was not safe for public transportation. Why would you think it will be safe for this heavy tons and tons of pounds to travel across it? So this incident at Twin Bridges Road between the towns of Reed Point and Columbus has led to closures of some public access points to the Yellowstone and Stillwater rivers. And the Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks said that they are monitoring, the ecosystems and things like that. State officials are advising the public to avoid parts of the Yellowstone River due to potential contaminants while there is no immediate threat. And now this was reported on Saturday. I have an update to this because it changed. While there's no immediate threat to the Yellowstone County, the sheriff's office said the incident left some residents concerned about the vulnerability of their chief water supply because it feeds into the river. All of our water comes through the river for our wells and our irrigation and everything. So the people are concerned no matter what. As an update to the story somewhat, the hazardous materials, the sodium hydrosulfate, which can burn, irritate, and cause shortness of breath, had not entered the Yellowstone River below the failed bridge that used to span the waterway. So there was no release of that hazardous materials. That's what they're saying from those rail cars. But yet, there was a release when it comes to the asphalt that they were carrying. It says an unspecified number of other cars containing molten sulfur and asphalt had been compromised. And due to that, they're saying that they are shutting down the city water system intake feed by the Yellowstone River for the time any pollutant would need to pass and end up downstream. Billings also said a city of nearly 110 people has a clean supply of drinking water in its systems, including storage tanks that are full. So I guess that's their backup water. Laurel, Montana suspended its intake from the river and temporarily shut down its water treatment plant on Saturday morning, but a few hours later it reconnected its supply. As of Saturday, later that afternoon, water treatment plants in Yellowstone County were working as normal as officials monitor the river for any signs of contaminants. At this time, there have not been any reported negative impacts to Yellowstone County, its government said in an afternoon statement. But mind you, when you talk to the people, you hear differently. You hear, I can smell it. I can taste it and all, in the water. So it's another Ohio situation. So what happened 8 years ago? Let's talk about that. So in doing some digging, 8 years ago, they issued a state of emergency at Yellowstone River. They had a chemical spill. Water supply was at risk. People who lived nearby were alarmed because they can taste and smell the oil in the drinking water. Responders are struggling how to clean it up under the frozen river. And they feel like they would only get maybe 40% of that oil out of the river. So that was 8 years ago. That oil is still there. And now you have this whole chemical spill here. That's a brand new chemical spill in the Yellowstone River. And this was in Glendive, Montana. So they were serving bottled water only. People were, afraid to go out to eat. They had to assure them we're using bottled water. We're not using, the water from the sink or the tap. So in Glendive, this town draws the water from the Yellowstone River. The dogs would not drink the water, one lady said. They would just eat the ice because they could smell the oil in the water. They could taste the oil in the water. And I feel like this is what is going to happen, and we'll probably hear about it in a few days. Well, not hear about it, but you'll probably find an article here or there saying that things have changed due to this Yellowstone train derailment that just happened on Saturday. So this was 8 years ago, mind you. The EPA, everybody was out there. They were searching for 40,000 gallons of oil. And they didn't know how they were going to get that oil out from under the frozen river at the time. So it was a 12-inch pipe that ruptured some kind of way. They never said how. It reached the water treatment plant. This had benzene in it, which is a cancer-causing chemical at 3 times greater than the federal standards allow. They brought in bottled water. The cleanup was going to take years and tens of millions of dollars. And I did not find an article saying how much of that oil they were able to get out of there, and were any people affected by that benzene that was in the water. So guys, this is dangerous. People's lives are at risk. While they're saying this chemical that causes shortness of breath, the sulfate in the recent one that just happened on Saturday, that did not get compromised. For now, they're saying that, but those cars are still in the water. So it may happen, and those people need to be worried about that. You know, not live in fear, but be worried about that and be mindful, because even if they have well water, that could be affected, because it runs, a lot of those towns get their water through the Yellowstone River that feeds into their wells and their irrigations. This is a reminder that we need to be stockpiling more than just a little bit. You know, we need to be, with everything happening, the economy collapsing, crime is up, stores are closing, banks are closing, everything's happening all at the same time. We need to be mindful when we are prepping that we need to have extra water available, water that we can consume and water that we can use around the home. Because even if you're using water around your home and you're not consuming it, if it's contaminated, you don't want to use it. So you want to have some water set aside for that as well. Just something to put in the back of your mind. Just want to bring this news you could use, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Please share the video out, hit the like button or dislike if you didn't like it, and I'll